I want to give you guys a quick update on this story, but first I want to start off by showing you this headline from the New York Times. They call this the Gaza redevelopment plan, Donald Trump's plan to take Palestinians out of their homes and to never let them return. They're calling that the redevelopment plan, not like an ethnic cleansing, not a forced removal. Now we know that Israel has not even held up to their standards of the ceasefire, and Trump's making huge demands by 12 o'clock on Saturday, or all hell is going to break loose. Whatever all hell breaking loose means, you know what that means. This is a really scary time. And the reason New York Times is not calling it out for what it is, and they are not giving real critical coverage, the reason why every media organization is not giving the real coverage that they need to right now is because of this story. The Gulf of America might seem like this funny little dumb thing, but it's huge and consequential, extremely consequential for the future of the freedom of speech. Please drop a like, subscribe, and leave your comment down below to support independent content creators like myself. I go live every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time taking live callers. Donald Trump banned AP News from the Oval Office for not recognizing the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. This is a huge deal, by the way. It's a huge deal. The reason they do these name changes is for one, nationalism, and also to prove they can. So for example, if they're going to ban AP News from the Oval Office for this, and I'll tell you why that's dumb, but if they're going to ban AP News for this, imagine what else they will ban press from the Oval Office for. Trump's White House said this is because AP News is not meeting their editorial standards in the White House. Now, this is an issue with the First Amendment, obviously, but Trump's administration is just refusing to comply with court orders. So even if this was constitutionally challenged, who knows what they would actually do? A bunch of media companies are bowing down to Trump because he's trying to shut down the free press. This is one of the biggest attacks on the First Amendment I can think of in American history, and it comes down to the public. If the public is okay with this, then they will keep on doing it. Democracy and our representative system that we have is a big deal. The public needs to stand up against this as soon as possible. Editorial standards, what else can they do editorial standards on? You know, this sounds like George Bush with the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan times 50. It's more similar to something that would happen in Russia, Hungary, or China. Authoritarian countries that we don't want to replicate. The Associated Press did say today how they are a global news organization. They are independent journalism. So when they talk about the Gulf of Mexico in their reporting, they can still say the Gulf of Mexico and also the Gulf of America as recognized by the United States. But when it comes to international standards of what things are called, an American president winning an election by the smallest popular vote margin in like 50 years, by an incredibly small margin, an American president barely winning does not mean global news organizations need to comply with their name change of a territory which is international waters. And it's not a territory, it's international waters, and the entire globe is still calling it the Gulf of Mexico, except for America. This is an authoritarian crackdown, but in the same way, we see for federal workers, they cannot say the word diversity, DEI, gender, pronoun. We are not having a debate on how far to go with DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion. Make sure you say it out loud, by the way. Don't say DEI. Say diversity, say equity, say inclusion. Make them argue against liberty and justice for all. But you cannot even mention that now if you're a federal worker. They are scanning computers. It's an authoritarian speech crackdown. They're painting over walls that say freedom on it. It's insane what they're doing right now if you deny the messaging of the authoritarian regime at all. This is super dangerous. Like I said before, if they start randomly just, doing a genocide in Palestine, for example, and doing ethnic cleansings, if the media that says what that actually is no longer allowed to be in the Oval Office, then media companies will begin to just capitulate to whatever the messaging is from Trump. And we saw this with the New York Times already. The New York Times is calling this the Gaza redevelopment plan, okay? They're calling forcefully removing people from their homes the Gaza redevelopment plan. The reason New York Times is saying this is because they know Donald Trump will cut their access to the Oval Office if they do not comply with the exact phrasing of the administration. This is how you get state-run media, like Russian state TV, like Chinese state TV. This is how you kill the free press, independent press. This is how you kill the freedom of speech in general, because it doesn't stop there. It does not stop there. This is their test run for all these things. This is their test run to see if the American public is going to be okay with blatant violations of the First Amendment. And it seems like way too many Americans are okay with it.